This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley Smith.
Good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Tuesday, November 7th, 2023. Happy birthday, Mom. And we're so glad you could join us for today's show. In today's episode, we have the first episode of Pods of Potential, a little bit of a clip of that for you guys to see. Of course, we also have Pods of Potential up on our website now under the podcast tab. We also have a check of that ag weather outlook, but first, let's run down the markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day in the ag marketplace, we're talking with Jacob Burks of agmarket.net. Jacob, you might have to bear with it and grimace a little bit, but how do those grain markets look today?
We did not get the close that we wanted. We saw a very strong start to the bean market. Was dragging the grains, corn and wheat up along with it. Most of the morning, there was just very reluctant. In the end, we saw the bear camp go ahead and turn the tides. Well, we rolled the bean market over. We actually were 20 cents off the lows, off the highs by the end of the day, closing the market down about 8-9. Down a penny in the beans, but down 8 to 9 in the corn. Corn market went down, traded around that 368, below the 470 is where we'll close. But all in all, it was just a day where we saw the bull camp try to keep that market alive, playing off of the South American weather situation, the dryness in the north, the rains across the southern part of Brazil. But in the end, we couldn't hold on to it, and trading back down to testing some of these lower ranges that we've seen for quite a while.
And, some of the big news with the South America situation was, they were running out of soybeans to crush. And, obviously we saw that in the soybean meal prices. But then looking at last week's export sales, we just didn't get the numbers that we wanted to see from that. So did that factor in as well? It's like, we have this good pricing situation, but we're just not seeing the demand follow through with it.
Right. When the rally was really strong in the bean meal, it was when the oil was leading the way. The biofuel industry, the renewable fuel industry that's set the tone for the capacity that we've seen expanded into domestically in the bean crush, and we know our crush is going to continue to grow just kind of what we have online. But that was the beauty of what we've seen lately is, hey, Argentina doesn't have the beans to crush, and they're getting beans from South America. The exports should really start to pick up from our soybean meal side of it. We're still strong. We're still trading 450 in the soybean meal. We were up $11 today, but it just couldn't hold the gains for the bean complex as a whole. We saw $1.32 lower in the bean oil today. But yeah, you're disappointed. To be able to export, we got to get those sales on the books first, and that's what we're seeing across most of the grain complex as far as export. We're just not that competitive. Now we're at that point though with soybeans that we have become. We've become as competitive as the South American with for logistics reasons. Their drought situation, their ability to get beans to the export markets as well.
Well, and thinking about that, being a little more competitive with, especially Brazil right now, we've kind of had that price disparity we've been dealing with, but it feels like every time we're talking, we get close to that price disparity, but we still don't see any action off of it. So you think we can have a different story this time, or what's of course we can't predict that, but what's the projection there?
Well, it's hard to take these daily moves like this and project what all goes into it. I mean, we got a USDA supply demand report on Thursday. Some of the negativity in the corn, I would have to say, is a lot of the anticipation this week has been, hey, we could probably see these corn yields grow just from the reports and words of mouth. Hearsay of what some guys were pleasantly surprised in the corn market, in the corn yields. Beans, on the other hand, that story's been a little bit mixed as far as what the USDA could do with that. You look at when the USDA takes a soybean or corn yield from September to October and lowers it, October to November typically has a tendency to follow along with that, and small crops get smaller. So there's a lot of questions there as far as the export world. I think our export sales and the exports that we have pushed out the door as of late in the soybeans probably generate enough confidence that the USDA won't lower that export number and potentially raising the crush numbers. So I anticipate seeing the beans stay pretty tight. They have a better story. They have a better fundamental story to catch a rally here. And that's what we've seen too. So this is an opportunity. We've seen an opportunity. Just because we had a pullback in the middle today doesn't mean this has to be over. But it was just kind of took the air out of the market today.
And of course, not much better on the livestock side of things. What do we see going on with those prices as well?
You saw a lot of stops hit in the middle of the day here after the feeder cattle started pulling back a little bit. I mean, that was kind of the ugly trade. I mean, it really took the chart, and we made new lows for this move down. Feeder cattle are going to end up being that $5.60 in the January contract. The live cattle are going to be down $3.50 in February. So after we had that the stability move back up, we filled that gap, and since we filled that gap, that was at a 50% retracement of the move down. That market has really just continued to peter out. This is 3 days in a row in a big move down today. I think the market in the cash, has been strong, has been steady, but this the futures market has just really not been very good for this. When you talk about the funds positioning itself for the long-term move, we saw that the funds got a little bit smaller last week, and then this week, as far as today's trade, we'll see this number on Friday, and I suspect that number will be significantly lower than it was, maybe even go negative.
All right, Jacob, lots of great information today. For those of our listeners and our viewers who'd like to get in touch with the folks at agmarket.net for more great market analysis, how can they do that?
Hey, just look us up, agmarket.net. Take a look at our 30-day free trial of our intel. That gets all of our information, kind of our thoughts, our philosophies. Then just give us a call here if you need anything. It would be at 608-384-3854.
Great talking with you as always, Jacob, and we look forward to catching up again soon.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
That again was Jacob Burks of agmarket.net. We'll go ahead and take a look at how those numbers close. That's courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. December corn is down 8 3/4 at 468 1/2. November soybeans up 8 1/4 at 1348 3/4. January soybean meal up 840 at 438.80. Soybean oil down 123 at 49.13. Chicago wheat down 5 1/2 at 570 1/4. Minneapolis spring wheat down 4 1/2 at 724 1/4. Kansas City hard red wheat down 13 1/4 at 632 1/2. December oats down 16 1/4 at 352 even. On the Merc, December live cattle down 255 at 178.77. November feeders down 495 at 232.22. December lean hogs up 50 cents at 72.90. Pork cutout up 65 at 81.40. And November Class 3 milk down 11 cents at 17.06. And that's been a check of the markets here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, we have a clip of that first episode of Pods of Potential. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. The Iowa Soybean Association is a great partner of ours, and we've joined a new project with them called Pods of Potential. Andy Peterson talks in this first episode with Kelly Blair and Joe McClure.
Of course, talking about the Research Center for Farming Innovation as well, which you work directly with. Let's kind of give an overview, if you will, Joe, of some of the activities for the year and what you've been involved in, what you've been working on. It's now coming to fruition as these combines, like the one behind me, make their way through the field.
Yeah, it's been a busy year. So the Research Center for Farming Innovation involves a lot of things that are value added to the landscape for farmers, and that's from a conservation lens as well as a profitability lens and a productivity lens. So we've got a lot of projects going on that's coming in through the combines this year, this fall right now. that we'll learn about, and we'll get data back to our farmers who participated with us, and really learn what practices added value to farms, profitability. And then from a sustainability point of view, we've got a lot of activities going on besides cover crop, making cover crops work on our farms, as well as edge of field practices. Some of them that Kelly's probably going to share about a little bit today as well.
Yeah, so we'll dive right into it then, I guess, since you both mentioned those edge of field practices and the cover crops, strip till as well. That's one of the things that I appreciate about Iowa Soybean Association is a lot of the checkoff dollars that are invested into on-farm performance. So Kelly, talk a little bit about what got you started with the cover crop and strip tilling aspect of reduced tillage and sustainable farming practices, and how long you've been doing it, and how it's been going, and how Iowa Soybean Association Research Center for Farming Innovation has kind of been able to maybe motivate you a little bit along the way.
So AJ was on the board of directors for the Soybean Association when we first got married. So I had to look back last night, and our first trial with what used to be called the On-Farm Network was in 2006. So we weren't even married yet, but he did a trial of headline fungicide versus none. And so it was just kind of natural since AJ was on the board. It was interesting doing some research on our own farm, getting some of our own data and our own numbers was what kind of interested us. And over the years of farming, so when I first started farming with AJ, we were pretty well corn on corn, full tillage. We did have hog manure, but to today where we've reduced tillage for the most part as much as we can. We do some strip till ahead of corn, but we've also tried a lot of no-till corn. We no-till our soybeans. We have cover crops, and we're interested in continual improvement and conservation. So on our farm, we can most farmers, when we talk about what works and what doesn't work, we're comparing, oh, the field across the road did better than the field over the hill. And which, I mean, that's how we visualize, and that's how we do things. But by doing some trials with Iowa Soybean Association, we're able to get real data, replicated strips, and look at maybe what we're doing and get some real data, as well as know how to set trials up. Because before, like I said, you look from field to field, but here in the same field, you can look at differences or see differences. And if you can't see them, there might be yield differences or there might not be. So we've done trials with fungicide, cover crops versus no cover crops. We're in the 7th year of a cover crop trial with Iowa Soybean, cover crops versus no cover crops, and getting lots of data, soil samples back on that. We've done some no-till versus strip till trials, nitrogen rates, looking at different rates, plus 50, minus 50 type thing, and looking at AMS versus no AMS ahead of our no-till corn, and some herbicide trials. So we've done a little bit of everything. And like I said, it's that real data that we're able to take and look at over the years. Whether or not we make big decisions overarching on the farm, it really just depends. But we're able to actually look at it and maybe decide what's going on if something doesn't work or does work, and kind of fix anything that might be too difficult about, when we were just starting cover crops. You have to figure out what works for you and what doesn't, and what your goals are. And so we started cover crops probably about 15 years ago. And I think our first trial, we were trying to do our own trial, and we used a four-wheeler to apply the cover crops. I don't think we ever got any data out of it. I don't know that anything ever happened with that. But and now, basically, ahead of all of our soybeans, we grow non-GMO seed beans, and ahead of all of our soybeans, we put cover crops, and we mostly drill all of that ahead of the soybeans, just because that's what works for us, and that's how we've done it. And we don't do a ton ahead of corn just because timing and that type of thing. it's what works for us. So that's kind of the story in a nutshell.
And that again was just a clip of the first episode of Pods of Potential. You can find the entire episode under the podcast tab on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network website at iowaagnet.com. As for right now, let's go ahead and take a look at that ag weather outlook. Well, we're continuing that really outstanding fall weather right now with some really nice temperatures and even a little bit of rain in that forecast. Now, of course, that could impact some harvest progress, but hopefully most of the farmers are out of the fields by this point, or at least making good progress to being able to wrap up that harvest season too. And of course, we always appreciate to see that moisture come in the forecast to kind of alleviate some of those moisture deficits we've been seeing. So let's see what the National Weather Service has in store for the next 24 hours. As you can see from the National Weather Service, today we have mostly cloudy to partly sunny skies with chances for showers in the south, highs ranging from the low 50s to upper 60s. Tonight it will be cloudy with slight chances for rain, lows ranging from the mid 40s to low 50s. And tomorrow will be variably cloudy with a chance for rain in the east, those highs ranging from the mid-50s to mid-60s. And taking a look at the affiliate weather map for tomorrow, Cherokee will be partly sunny with a high of 59, Shenandoah mostly cloudy, a high of 66, Des Moines partly cloudy, high of 60, Waterloo mostly cloudy, high of 55, Albany a chance for rain showers, high of 62, and Clinton will see a chance for rain as well with a high of 57. For a more detailed forecast in your part of the state, make sure to check in with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. That's been a check of the Ag Weather Outlook, and that also brings us to the end of this episode of Ag Matters PM. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. Again, that includes the newest episode of Pods of Potential on our website under the podcast tab. Just click on Pods of Potential right underneath there. We'll also be updated as we get those monthly episodes out to you. You can find us on social media as well at Facebook, TikTok, X, and LinkedIn. And you can find our video content as well as previous episodes of AMPM on our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell to see when those videos go live. Don't forget as well our free twice daily market podcasts on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Mark Magnuson, Andy Peterson, and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.